Good afternoon from the Second Age of Reason. Something that's been a big, important thing recently is what's called the debt ceiling. This is a borrowing limit that our government places on itself. And in my opinion, it's a mistake because if you read the Constitution, Congress has the power to coin money and set the value thereof. Congress has the power of money. Ben Franklin explained it that since we print our own money, we have all the money we need interest-free. The only reason you'd want to borrow is that you'd want to give somebody interest income, which in effect makes your money less effective. So that is the big question. Will Congress raise the debt limit or won't they? I know what they'll do. What they're going to do is they're going to debate about it all the way from now until the day before the deadline. And they're going to make a good show of it. You'll hear the Democrats and the Republicans and the President will all input. But all along, we already know the result. It's predetermined. They're going to increase the debt limit. They're going to make it bigger so they can borrow more money. But they don't need to borrow. The national debt is something that they can do by publishing money, and they issue it, and the national debt is basically owed to nobody. It's just a number that hangs in thin air. What they're worried about now is that they've been borrowing from banks, from the Federal Reserve, from the IMF, from Russia, China, Japan, a number of different countries. So those countries are expecting a return on their investments. They're expecting, at the very least, interest payments. So, to me, allowing the government to borrow money from other banks is a mistake. Allowing the government to borrow money from other governments, especially big governments, with a good military and nuclear capability, is a supreme mistake. They should simply go back and print the money they need now. And the question is, won't you just print like crazy to do all kinds of stuff? Well, that's why we should have laws to limit that, perhaps. That they should have, the idea is of America, what? Limited government. And mostly unlimited liberty for people. So we need to get back to that idea. The question is, can we? I mean, there's the wars. There's the Patriot Act. There's all kinds of things with the quantitative easing. There's the problems in Europe with the euro. There's problems in the Mideast with oil. It just never ends. So the question is, what are they going to do about their debt problem? And I think they're going to push it off on the end of our generation, and then onto our children and grandchildren's generation, as they basically just want to have a continuous revenue stream, mostly just to pay the interest. The problem is, when the banks create the money, they create it, with a fractional deposit thing, where they can get a little bit of money, they loan it out, and then they can create a bunch more out of nothing. I think the government should take that money that they create from nothing and tax it as income. So, that's one thing. I think if they need more revenue, if they want to tax, why don't they tax the jobless recovery? Like 1 or 2% on every Wall Street investment transaction. Sales tax. That could produce plenty. But overall, they don't even need a tax. They don't need to borrow. They're Congress. They can publish it. And as long as they are careful and control the money supply, it'll be okay. Rome became great that way. Abraham Lincoln won the Civil War that way. And we created a great prosperity in the 20th century that way. People who are talking about going to a gold or precious metal standard would look at times when they put those things into effect, and it almost invariably caused a depression with deflation, unemployment, and extremely hard times. So I hope they've learned from history. They probably haven't. But just so you know, I'm pretty sure they're going to go and increase the debt limit in the next couple of weeks. It's obvious. They're not going to change their habit overnight. The leopard can't change his spots. The sky can't become a different color than blue. It's the nature of the thing. So until later, be seeing you.